Hello and welcome to Campaign Chronicles, our daily look at the race for the French presidency. I'm joined now by a press reviewer, Elena Casas. Hello, Elena. So it's the big day. We're expecting Nicolas Sarkozy to announce on French television this evening that he is indeed running for a second term.
Hello, Claire. Yes, finally, after weeks of waiting, he's on the starting blocks, as Libération puts it. We're expecting him to make that announcement in a TV interview this evening. So the papers are all looking at what his strategy is going to be then. Now the waiting is over, what's the big plan? According to Libération, it's quite clear that that's going to be a big swing to the right. We've had that hinted at already in a big interview that he gave for Le Figaro magazine at the weekend, when he suggested moves clearly aimed at winning over voters the party is worried might vote for Marine Le Pen's Front National, like having a referendum over whether or not the unemployed should have their benefits cut if they refuse a job, or one on the subject of the law that applies to foreigners, should that be changed. So the policy direction seems clear. They say they're leaning quite strongly to the right. The satirical paper Canard Enchaîné has even suggested today that his new campaign model is going to be George Bush, who they say got himself re-elected in 2004 by appealing to what they call the basest instincts of America's rednecks, and they say Sarkozy's going for a French version. They also look, though, in Libération at his campaign team. Who's going to be in it? What are they going to bring to the UMP's efforts? Now, one of the rising stars is the Environment Minister, Nathalie Cuscu-Morizet. She's going to be the spokesperson, so she's going to be the public face, if you like, of Sarkozy's campaign. And they say that's an example of the campaign trying to move towards the centre, because she's perfect, as they put it, to appeal to bobos. That means sort of the liberal middle classes here in France. And she's also known for defending the president tooth and nail. They say she's one of his most staunch supporters. So here she is, starting off in that campaign role, talking about his declaration on the radio this morning.
Whenever a person announces their candidacy, it marks a change in momentum, a key moment that kicks off the campaign. We can't call it a surprise, but it's clearly a next phase, a next step.
The papers, though, are saying that that sort of centrist positioning that she represents isn't really what Sarkozy's aiming to campaign on. As we were saying, it's also on Le Monde's front page, the call to the people, saying he's going to be the voice of the people. As Le Monde puts it, he's trying to be as populist as possible. By the people, he means what they refer to as the baser instincts of French voters.
So if he does indeed announce his candidacy later today, it'll be only 10 weeks before the first round of the election, and he's running quite a few points behind his main rival, François Hollande. Is it too little too late?
Well, in the Monde, they effectively say so. They say that over in past elections, announcing the candidacy has had virtually no effect on the polls where the outgoing president was behind already. They don't expect much difference today. Today's polls aren't looking great for Nicolas Sarkozy. There is a new one in Le Parisien, but it doesn't look particularly good. They've got him on just 24% of first-round voting intentions and Hollande on 36%. So it's not the most flattering poll figures. And Le Monde says effectively that while journalists are very interested in the media buzz created around the campaign, waiting, it's not something that plays very well with French people. They don't necessarily care. Le Parisien, in their cartoon, is having a little bit of a laugh of this. They've got him jumping up and down on a diving board, trying to work out what the best moment would be to jump off. But they also, in that paper, say that effectively it's not something that voters are paying much attention to. We know he's running anyway. And they actually quote François Hollande, also in there, his main socialist rival, effectively saying that this is a non-event, today's announcement, and that his team aren't bothered at all.
Many people must be pretty fed up of the will he, won't he, we know he will, but he's taking his time. Now, he's also managed, the president, to attract a couple of unflattering headlines on this so-called big day, what we expect to be a big day.
Yes, there's two rather unflattering reports in the Nouvel Observateur magazine. One of them is about parents who are complaining about how their children, according to them, were manipulated into cheering for him at a campaign event this week. They say he visited a primary school and the teachers got them all out with flags and cheering for Sarkozy, but they say the UMP has since used these images to try and promote them, and the parents, who don't necessarily support the president, are planning on suing because they think this is an inappropriate use of their children's image. There's also another not very flattering piece headlined Sarkozy's farewell declaration. Also in the Nouvel Observateur, they're looking at a visit he made to a factory yesterday to try and win over working class votes, saying he's not going down very well with that demographic. And they also point out that another bit of news, that he might not go down very well with their factory workers and so on. They say that in the Paris suburb of Nogent-sur-Marne, the UMP mayor has decided to construct a statue to commemorate local women workers. All very well and good, except that the artist is using the face of Carla Bruni, perhaps not exactly a factory worker. So people there saying it just shows that in the Sarkozy household they haven't quite understood what working class voters care about.
Okay, thanks very much, Elena Casas, for running us through the French papers. Now, just before Nicolas Sarkozy gives his interview to French television this Wednesday, his main rival, socialist candidate François Hollande, will be holding his second major campaign rally in the city of Rouen. The socialist camp has criticised Nicolas Sarkozy for not clearly presenting his candidacy earlier. And for François Hollande, the announcement, as Elena was just saying to us, will be a non-event. Let's have a listen to his campaign manager now.
It seems to me the campaign was launched long ago. The president has taken advantage of his position and of the media so much. He has campaigned on taxpayers' money so much that people might be fed up already. I wonder what Nicolas Sarkozy will come up with now.
Now, the president is about 10 points behind his main rival, as we were saying earlier, François Hollande from the Socialist Party. And with the first round of the election just a few weeks away, he's really got his work cut out for him to turn things around.
A friendly handshake between two opponents. French President Nicolas Sarkozy may seem relaxed, but he has a hard fight ahead of him to dominate socialist leader François Hollande at the polls. A number of issues are at stake. Sarkozy will have to convince the French public that he can handle the sovereign debt crisis engulfing Europe, which has also affected France. On top of that, his plan to recover growth in the country will need to be a strong one. And then there's unemployment, which has almost reached the 10% threshold, a figure not seen since 1999.
The big question he faces right now is to know whether his talent, competitive and campaigning brilliance will be able to override the number of underlying problems that are on his balance sheet relating to how he exercises power.
Nicolas Sarkozy will also be looking at reining in his temper, something that's caused him problems in the past. However, these types of outbursts are firmly in the past. Sarkozy says he now sees them as a weakness.
I got it wrong when I was younger. Now I see how arrogant I was.
There are other concerns, notably in the president's private relations with his first wife Cecilia and in his relationship with Carla Bruni.
Carla and I have decided not to lie. We don't want to exploit our relationship, nor do we want to hide it. I don't want to have a sleazy image.
It's an image that needs working on. Sarkozy's opinion polls are very low, figures that will have to rise if the president wants to be in a position to lead his country for a second term.
And we'll, of course, have more on that expected announcement by the president, Nicolas Sarkozy, throughout the day right here on France 24.